Council will hold a public hearing this Monday, December 8th, 2025, here at 6 p.m. at the Great Hall. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please? And I'll read the
Councilor
agenda.
Pesh. Councilor Soto.
Present.
Councilor Cirillo.
Present.
Councilor Valley. Councilor Campagnon. I see her. Councilor DeZoglio.
Here.
And Chair Masson.
Here,
All present.
all present. The agenda this evening for the public hearing will be the property tax classification to consider the following policy decisions for the fiscal year 2026. A residential exemption of up to 35% of the average assessed value of a residential property. Number two, an exemption of up to 25% of all property that may be classified as a Class 2 open space. Number three, a partial tax exemption to all qualifying small commercial properties. And number four, a determination of the percentage of tax levy to be borne to each of the class of the property in fiscal year 2026. Madam Capel, could you start us off, please, and give us a quick synopsis of what this means for the people, please?
Sure. So I'm going to try to give a quick overview and then go through, and Suzanne is here, the assessor is here as well, so we're going to yin and yang with any questions. But I'm going to give a quick overview as far as what we're here to do tonight, what it means, and what it doesn't mean, and then answer any questions that you guys might have.
And our assessor is here to answer any questions also. She's the one who sets this up for us.
Yeah, because we could get the email with any questions, but I'm going to give a quick overview as far as what we're here to do
I can hear
tonight,
myself. That's
what
good.
it means, and
Okay, so I'm going to start with just a quick overview, and I know that you've all heard this probably multiple times, but I just, for everybody who's listening. So there's three different pieces that go into setting a tax rate. The first is the assessed property value. So this is something that Suzanne spends an enormous amount of time going through, reviewing all the relevant market data for the appropriate time periods, and submits it all to the Department of Revenue, who then audits all of it, goes through all of it, asks a million questions, and then ultimately sets what the assessed values are. And if you'll remember, the assessed value is always for the year prior January. So we're always working currently with values that are dated. And that's just how it works. So that's the first piece. So that's done. That's completed. The second piece is municipal spending. So this is determined in the spring when we put our budget together. So for tonight's purposes, this is based on the budget that was approved this past spring for fiscal year 26. That is not what's being discussed tonight. What the amount that has been appropriated for the budget has already been set. We're not looking for whether we want the tax rate to go higher or lower. We're looking to see where to shift the burden in different areas. So I just want to make that clear in our discussions. We're not looking to see if we shouldn't raise it as much as we have, or that we're looking to do. It's that has already happened. We already know the pool of money that we need as far as tax goes, and now we're just trying to figure out who to tax what. And then the third piece brings us to why we're here tonight, is the tax classification. And again, it's really looking at different areas of the Mass General Law that allows the city to figure out where we want to shift the burden in different areas. So the first area that we're asking about, or asking you to decide on tonight, is the residential exemption. So what we're allowed to do annually is vote to decide whether or not there's going to be a residential exemption for all residential properties that are qualifying. So those that qualify really are vacation homes, rental properties, higher valued homes. So those are the areas that we would shift off of the lower values, and the homeowners that reside in their main residence off onto these other categories. I provided you tonight with something that looks like this. And so I just wanted to reference this document because it kind of shows you what that means. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I thought I would at least be able to give you a picture. These are actual Methuen numbers. It's based on 25. So this is not exact, but it's based on the information that was completed for 25, where that shift would be. So as part of the residential exemption, if you vote to do it, you also need to vote a percentage of how much you're going to do. And it has to be between 1% and 35%. So what I did here was just show you quickly what that would look like at the different levels. I just picked a middle level, where that median would be and where it would shift to. So you can see that those lower valued owner occupied homes, right, you have to qualify that, would get a less of a burden, whereas the higher valued properties would get more of a burden. So that was a lot. I do want to note a couple of things, and then Suzanne, if I missed anything. Vacant land is not included in this. It doesn't qualify. Really, the primary reason for this is for communities that are vacation communities and that are have a very high level of rental properties. So Boston, Cambridge, the Vineyard, Cape Cod. You'll see the ones who do, the handful, really it's just a handful of communities that have done these. I think there's 10 to 20 are in those types of areas. We don't have any surrounding communities around us that participate or that vote this exemption in. And again, this is a shift within the residential pool. So we have a set amount that we need to tax the residential area. This is shifting within there. So say it's $100,000, which it's much more than that, but it's $100,000. We need to take, we're going to take in $100,000 from residential regardless. The question is, who do we take it from? Do we take more from one pool versus the other? So that's residential. I'm trying to keep it short, I swear. Do you have any questions before I move on to the next one?
Does the council have any questions?
Is there a recommendation from the city on where we should be voting on?
So our recommendation would be a no, not to vote the exemption, because our recommendation later on will be to shift the burden from residential to commercial as we've done. That shift is already giving relief to the residential. So for these first three, our recommendation would be no.
Again, I'll reiterate, I believe there is just under 20 cities and towns out of 351 in Mass that do it. It's Cambridge, Watertown, I believe Somerville might have it, but all of the towns down the Cape. It's trying to give the owner-occupied people a little bit of a break when they live in the high-valued resort areas, or that have an awful lot of landlords that should maybe pick up a little bit.
Which is, you'll see Boston has this.
Thank you. I'm all set.
I'm going to go to the next. Is that?
That it, council? Yes, please.
So item number 2 is really straightforward and easy because we actually don't have any property that qualify for open space, but class 2 is open space. We are required to present this as an option in case one year we do have a property that becomes an open space qualified. So we bring it forward every year, but it really isn't something that applies to us. We would still recommend a no exemption. That way, if something were to come up between now and next year, you know, it could be discussed separately and looked at going forward. But that's not something that qualifies right now.
Questions on open space?
Okay, so number 3, this is the small business partial exemption. This was new to us last year. And so this is similar to item 1 where I was talking about shifting within the residential pool. This is shifting within the commercial pool. So again, we have to tax, I'm going to say $100,000 for that whole pool. We're going to tax $100,000. It's whether or not we shift it to the larger companies that are on that commercial side or the smaller businesses. Now I say small business, that is a very big group of commercial entities. They have to qualify. So this is businesses that have less than 10 employees, and they have to be housed in a property with an assessed value less than $1 million. So those things really lower that pool down. And I think we had about 70, is that what we were looking about?
We do get a list from the state, and we go through it and qualify what we think might qualify. Again, it's still, there's no parameters on the list that we get. But again, if this were to be voted in, it goes directly to the landlord. It doesn't go to the small business. So if you wanted it to really help the small business people, it may not.
That's right. That's an excellent point that she just made. It goes to the landlord. So if a small business doesn't own the property that they work out of and it qualifies for this, the owner of the property is who gets the benefit of this, not the small business. So that, I think, is an important note. There's about 14 or 15 communities in Massachusetts, again, out of 351. So it's not something that a lot of people take. We are already, as I mentioned before, we're already shifting over to the commercial side. And so we would recommend a no vote on this, again, because they're already taking a higher burden than they would be if we weren't recommending that. If we were talking about a single rate, we might have different discussion, but that's where we're going forward with the whole package. Any questions?
Questions on the small commercial rate?
Okay. So final one is the biggest one. And I'm going to try and keep it, I know that this tax classification is as clear as mud, and it is cumbersome and confusing. So I'm going to try and keep it simple and short, and then answer questions if you have any. So the classification is the Mass General Law allows each year for the city to decide whether or not they want to have one single tax rate for everyone, for residential and commercial, or if they want to shift some of that burden from residential to commercial. Historically, for as far back as I have, the city of Methuen has voted to do the full shift. And you can see in the hearing document, the history there. I've put that in. I think there's 10 or 15 years of history, but you can see that. Now, the shift hasn't always been the same. The amount that we're allowed to shift is set by the state. And so they've allowed us this year to shift the full amount, which is 1.75. So what we have done is provided, again, in that hearing document, a few of the pages 8, you'll see what that means. So we're looking at the residential, and then on page 9 is the commercial. So you can kind of see the yin and yang. Once the shift goes towards the higher end, the residential impact is lower, and the commercial impact is obviously more. So if we're looking at page 8, you can see in the vaguely highlighted lines there where it says 1.75 is the CIP factor, and I swear that's as technical as I'm going to get right now. We're putting in what we think, based on all of the other information that we have, the possible impact will be with the tax rate at these different levels. So 11.48 is the tax rate that it would be if we said one single tax rate. So that top number for one family condo, et cetera, if we said one tax rate, everybody's going to get taxed the same. That's the impact that you would see on the residential, and then on the next page on the commercial. It would be substantial because we have been shifting the full shift for so long that the year that you decide not to, it is going to be a huge impact. Again, I put different factors there just so you can kind of see that you really can choose anywhere in between there, but just to show what those different impacts are. Again, tonight we are recommending that you go with the full shift, which would then leave the one family average home an impact of $290. What I will say as well that is new this year to what we're looking at is the fact that the Holy Family commercial value has now come off of our valuation. So that big piece that we were shifting that commercial over is no longer there. So we're seeing an impact here now because of that. So I just wanted to note that is being reflected here, and it is an impact. And that's why you can see kind of on the other side, the commercial there is that their impacts are kind of, all over the place. I think I tried not to get too into it, but if you have any questions. Okay.
Council, have any questions?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to the CAFO. You just spoke about Holy Family, no longer in the community. That $1.5 million shift, dollar-wise, what does it look like on our residential property?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you know that, Suzanne?
A 1.5.
Well, what the impact of it coming off that, the 2% shift, right? Losing Holy Family off of our valuation is a 2% shift off of commercial. I don't have a dollar amount, but it's 2%.
So it kind of skewed the increase in the commercial properties this year because values are up across the board, however, slightly, as opposed to the past years. But because that came off, I think you see, again, if you do the full shift, a little bit of a decrease in some of the industrial, actually that would be industrial, that's wrong. We just lost that valuation and the tax dollars that come from the tax of the hospital. And that with their personal property, I think amounted to about $1 million a year that we now have to make up on the commercial side because the valuation, if they can't spread it a little bit to the hospital.
So other commercial properties are picking up this $1 million bill?
Yes.
Basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you also, because you have to shift again, you have the residential pool and the commercial pool, and you can't combine
Yeah,
them.
we can't intermingle them.
Yeah.
Now, the shift, unlike the other exemption, is commercial all around. It's not like the bigger commercial will take the absorption of the 1 million, where actually everyone that owns a commercial property will absorb that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I know Holy Family was a big loss. However, we gained 2 very large commercial real estates last year too. The plant over off of Lowell Street and Old Ferry Road. And if I recall, Old Ferry Road was almost $1 million more in assessment value. And it jumped dramatically to, I think, $10 million, that property.
I think that was maybe 2 fiscal years ago that happened. It wasn't as last year.
It was January of 2025 that would have hit, because that's what we were talking about. So there should be an offset coming here. So I want to make sure that we're not, completely like scaring everyone here that, we're $1 million shy, but we've also gained a lot of new property here that should have covered this loss as not a gain, but as a wash.
If I can.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you, and that's actually what I was trying to say.
Okay.
What Suzanne was saying is that it's skewing our growth because our growth is there, but it's offset by.
Okay.
So it looks like it's more of a wash or negative 2% or whatever small amount it is, where if we hadn't lost them, we would have had a bigger growth in commercial.
Okay.
So that I'm totally agree with you.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because that in the years past, there was 1 year that we didn't tax the levy and we went down, and the following year we taxed the crap out of everyone, and there was a huge increase. So I just want to make sure we're not going to fall into that pattern. That, hey, we're going to be in a good spot this year, so let's go right to below the levy or right at the levy, because at the you have a new council coming in, so it might sound nice now to like, hey, let's do this, but your first year next year in the budget, you're going to increase taxes twofold because of covering the shit. So I just want to make sure that's not the case. That's going to happen here.
So if I could, so we've actually very consistently, and that is in this hearing packet as well, we've been pretty consistent aside from that one outlier year. We've actually been very consistent with how we've been taxing and the amount that's been increasing, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, with the idea that we are taxing close to the levy, not at the levy, but close. Again, aside from that outlier, which was last year. I believe it was last year. But it's been about 200 to 250. We're right in line with where we've been and what we've been doing, keeping it consistent. That's what we're asking for tonight, is to keep it consistent, and so that we can go forward. As far as whether or not we tax to the levy, that's a budget question that we can have that discussion for 27 in the spring. Or happy to have that discussion earlier if we want to do some planning before the budget process. But that is set as it is. So we need to raise this amount of pool. And so really we're asking tonight whether or not you want to shift it one way or the other.
Thank you.
Council Cirillo, would you see if anybody signed up for the public hearing? Council Campagnon, did you want to say something?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
So no one has signed up for the public participation at the public hearing this evening. Any other councilors have any other questions? At this point, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Council DeZoglio, seconded by Councilor Soto. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bye.
Do you need a roll call?
Roll call. Sorry, Joyce.
Thank you.
Counselor Pesh. Counselor Soto.
Yes.
Counselor Cirillo.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
Yes.
Counselor DeZoglio. And Chair Mason.
Yes.
Unanimous, Chair.
Meeting's adjourned, 6:52. City Council will hold a special meeting here Monday, December 8, 2025, 7 p.m. at the Great Hall. Madam Clerk, could you call roll, please?
Counselor Soto.
Present.
Counselor Cirillo.
Present.
Counselor Valley.
Here.
Counselor Campagnon. Counselor DiZoglio. Counselor Pesh. Chair Masan.
Here.
All present.
Motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Valley. Discussion? All those in, roll call, please.
Roll call. Counselor Soto.
Yes.
Counselor Cirillo.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
Yes.
Counselor DiZoglio.
No.
Counselor Pesh.
Yes.
And Chair Masan.
Yes,
6 yes, 1 no.
thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. First up this evening, we'll have public participation. Public participation consists of residents of the city of Methuen. We'll have 5 minutes to speak. I'll put my hand up if you're going long, if you're almost close to the 5 minutes, and then I'm going to ask you to stop speaking if you go over the 5 minutes. So we have a list here, and we'll start. Heather Plunkett.
Good evening. I wanted to speak on two of the agenda items this evening, as well as a comment that was made at a recent meeting by a council member. First, I'll speak on the health insurance component. As we all know, living in the U.S., we do not have a single-payer health care program. Therefore, our health insurance is largely tied to our employment and is used as a perk to make the position more desirable. Once hired, there's typically a probationary period that needs to be met before you can enroll. And if you decide to leave that position, your insurance stops when you leave, unless you purchase COBRA, but that's another conversation entirely. Knowing how this is how insurance works in the US, I'm trying to understand how adults who have been in the workforce for a minimum of 20 years, some of you much longer than that, like myself, feel their elected position entitles them to the same health insurance as that of an employee. Let's be clear, you are not an employee, you're an elected official with a 2-year term, and you have a full-time job outside of your capacity as an elected official. That full-time employment, which you depend on to feed your family and pay your bills, is what you need to depend on for your health insurance, just like the rest of us. During the election cycle, a lot of you campaigned on being local business owners and proud of your independent accomplishments, and it's awesome. You should be proud. Owning your own business is difficult. It's very hard to succeed. But that does come with costs, one of which is insurance. So I just feel it's interesting how you would campaign on these things and then turn around and be like, hey, can you guys pay for my health insurance while I'm an elected official? Is that cool? It's really uncomfortable. I work in insurance. I know how expensive it is. Healthcare is the most expensive insurance for any business. We've heard tonight about we don't want to exempt taxes because we don't have enough money. We're $1 million shortfall. But somehow we're going to find the money to be able to pay for healthcare insurance for elected officials that if they do 2 years, 2 years, 2 years on this one, then they go ahead and they do 2 years, 2 years, 2 years on school committee. Now we're up to 12 years. And are we vetted now? Are we vested? We could get a pension. How does that work? I don't like it. You guys have full-time jobs. And just like everybody else, that's how we get our insurance. Unfortunately, I'm down for single payer, but we don't have that option. Next is the vote of no confidence for our superintendent. Dr. Kwong has already resigned. Surely you've heard of the saying, closing the barn door after the horse got out, right? Are you just wanting to, yell into the empty barn with your vote of no confidence? And if so, why? Do you think a public display of yelling into the empty barn could have a negative impact on the hiring process of the next superintendent? I'm just not sure I understand why anyone who, feels the need to publicly declare you don't like someone being here when they've already left. It makes no sense. And speaking of things that make no sense, I would love to understand why Councilmember Soto spoke publicly at a school committee meeting saying that perhaps receivership is the best outcome for our school district. I would think her capacity as an experienced real estate agent would suggest that having such an outcome could negatively impact the market value of our homes in Methuen and would also cause our talented teachers to search for teaching positions elsewhere. But even if she wasn't a realtor and didn't realize a negative impact of receivership, why would any elected official want the power to make decisions for their community taken away from them and their elected counterparts and put into the hands of the state? That's like someone who's afraid to drive, taking a job as a big city bus driver. It doesn't make sense. None of these agenda items or that comment makes sense. And as a resident, I would really love to understand the purpose behind each one. Thank you.
Thank you. Just if we could keep our comments to no personal attacks, not that that was really personal, but if you could just address it to the chair. Say my name, say it to me, blame me, I'll take all the heat for everything. So it's okay. It wasn't an attack. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying, please, for everyone else. Laurie Keegan, please. Laurie Keegan?
Good evening. Laurie Keegan, 68 Monroe Avenue. I expect elected officials to act in the best interest of the city. I expect that elected officials respond, how can I help, when presented with a problem. Unfortunately, I have not heard this from you. I have not seen you acting in the best interest of the city. I am constantly hearing you tear down the schools, disparage our school employees, and purposely prevent contracts from being processed. One member of this body even came to a recent school committee member and not only publicly told the school committee to break the law and go around the city solicitor for approval for our procurement contracts, but in the same rant suggested that our schools should be put in receivership. The mere suggestion of receivership from an elected official has a negative impact on our community. Receivership would significantly decrease property values. Decreased property values would in turn decrease city revenue, since our revenue is based on property taxes. This is bad for the people of Methuen, and it is bad for the city. So I have to wonder why a city councilor would advocate for this when our schools are nowhere near qualifying for receivership. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has categorized Methuen as not requiring assistance or intervention based on our moderate progress towards targets. There is no basis for state involvement. So what benefit would come from receivership if not to the people of Methuen or the city as a whole? No one would say such an outlandish thing that is not based in facts if there weren't some sort of personal benefit. So what benefit are you getting by using your elected position to actively attempt to harm the people of Methuen? When you figure out that our schools weren't anywhere eligible for receivership, all of a sudden, a vote of no confidence for the superintendent sneakily appears on a special meeting with no public participation on the agenda at the same time as a school committee meeting. Never did this body reach out to the body who by law has supervision of the superintendent. Instead, you created a resolution with lies and false accusations to disparage and defame the hardest working employee in this city. Let's look at facts. There are 26 gateway cities in Massachusetts that the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education groups Methuen with. According to the data from the U.S. News and World Report that you cite in the resolution, when comparing Methuen to the 26 gateway cities, we rank 7th in high school reading scores, 10th in high school math scores, 3rd in high school graduation rate, and 6th in high school college readiness. Additionally, we rank 7th in elementary reading scores and 8th in middle school reading scores. Our schools are not failing. Let's talk about the 28.6% high school college readiness rating. This, in fact, has nothing to do with MCAS scores, as the resolution states. Please go to the U.S. News and World Report's website, referenced in the resolution, and click on the information button next to this number. This, in fact, is the percentage of students passing with a 3 or better on an AP exam, thus doing college work in high school. So yes, 28.6% of Methuen high school students are able to pass an AP exam and receive college credit in high school. And this is one of your reasons to vote no confidence in the superintendent? You don't even know what your resolution is talking about. Who is taking credit for writing a no confidence vote for someone outside of your purview and with the reasoning that 28.6% of our students are able to do college work in high school? This baseless rhetoric needs to stop. You are harming our community. The school committee by law is the only body that evaluates the superintendent. We follow the state evaluation process, and she has been evaluated to be overall proficient every year she has been superintendent. Dr. Kwong has my full support and confidence. The attacks, personal grudges, and vendettas that are trying to ruin her and her reputation must stop. Dr. Kwong has served this community well and with the utmost integrity. To suggest otherwise is a false narrative based on lies and unsupported accusations. Thank you.
Mike Samad?
Good evening, Mike Samad, 18 Arrowwood Street in Methuen. I'm here on two resolutions, and the first one is on TR 25-74. Dr. Kwong, she rose through the ranks, paid her dues, and earned the position of school superintendent. I was fortunate enough to work with Dr. Kwong, although I wasn't friends with her, I never had a drink with her, but I'm here to speak on her behalf. One thing I learned early on was that she cared about the children of Methuen, which was essential and the most important quality that I found in her. It's not always easy. As we know, Methuen Public Schools faces many challenges, especially when it comes to special ed and ESL. I know an audit was done, and sometimes the findings don't always paint the full picture, and that's true in most audits. Sometimes you get what you want to pay for, and sometimes that's the case. When I review this resolution, some of the issues highlighted would hold true in other school districts and with superintendents with the same challenges Methuen faces. I'm sure Lawrence, Lowell, Lynn, and other diverse communities have some of the same problems. What is the motive of the resolution? Is it to add salt to the wound, affect her future, draw personal satisfaction? But I hope it doesn't draw a lawsuit, and I hope we don't open ourselves up. If this came before me in January, I would be an emphatic no vote on this. Randy Kwong was a good person, and she doesn't deserve this. She saw the writing on the wall. And did the audit find that she stole money? Did she forge documents of elected officials that weren't on her contract? No. I want to thank Dr. Kwong for her service to Methuen, and I wish her and her family good luck. And again, I'd be a no vote if this came in January, and I don't understand the motive here, but again, some won't be here in January. The next one is TR 2573 on the healthcare. I'd be curious to see come January what officials take advantage of that, because I think it is taking advantage of it. On a good month, the city council works probably 10, maybe 20 hours a month on a good month, especially in the summer months when I think you meet once in August. So I don't think personally that it warrants personal health care. And again, I don't know how many councilors will take advantage of this come January when it takes effect. But what if 9 do? What would be the financial impact to the city? And again, I know this budget here is bursting at the seams, and I just don't want to add to that. But I just think it's self-serving, and I didn't become a counselor and run again for the benefits. I ran to move the city forward, and I hope we do that as a council, and we don't vote for the benefit of our colleagues. We vote for the benefit of the citizens of Methuen, which is why we were elected. So I'd be a no vote on that, but thank you.
Thank you. Brian DiZoglio.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to identify as the fact that I am a school committee member, speaking on behalf of 2 issues. I'm going to talk with the no confidence. I get it. There are things in the past year where the council has been involved to fund us money to clean up our schools, and I agree. There are certain mismanagement that has been done on the school side, and the figure of that. But overall, all right, we have made strides in different things in the schools. But I think what's being hung up on in the last year, which if you watch many school committee meetings, I've spoken against the superintendent about not holding her admin accountable for those actions. But also you should have heard that also when it comes to the mice issue, and I wanted to be speaking very clearly, we had the health inspectors at our meeting where they were told to not to tell Dr. Kwong what was going on in the schools, all right, by previous administrations. And so I think you're right. But then with those management, she should have held those people that kept those secrets from her accountable. And she didn't, which I totally agree with all of it. However, though, she's already resigned. So why kick someone when they're already down? She's leaving, all right? She's done her service here, and let her go. And by voting a no confidence on her, you're not achieving anything. What you're doing is if she walks out tomorrow, you're gonna put the schools in more of a problem. Where are we gonna find anybody? So our job as an elected officials, and I'll be joining you in a month, our job is to make sure we're thinking about what's gonna happen tomorrow, not thinking about today. And that the issues, when you vote a no confidence and she walks out the door, what is that gonna do to our kids? When we have a dysfunctional school system, where our teachers then has no leadership, they're gonna walk out the door too. I would know, I'm an educator. If I didn't have proper leadership, I would not have any confidence in the school system. I would walk out the door go to a district that's gonna make it easier for me. So I want people to think about that when they're voting on this tonight, that you are going to possibly drive out someone, all right? And then we have nobody else to help us, all right? I'm asking you, as a future colleague, let's do our job as elected officials to think about what's gonna happen 10 days from now. Not just tomorrow, but 10 days, 15 days, the future. Because we want what's best for Methuen. I'm hoping that everybody sitting here tonight is doing what's best for Methuen. And let me ask you this, by voting a no confidence, are we doing what's best for Methuen? Thank you.
Thank you. Alejandro Baez.
Good evening, honorable members of the City Council, Mayor, and the community as a whole. My name is Alejandro Baez, 152 Center Street. I'm here to talk about Resolution 2574, a resolution calling for a vote of no confidence in the superintendent of Methuen Public Schools. I'm not here in an attempt to influence your vote. I am not here to give you my already public opinion. I'm not even here to provide you with facts that will help you create an opinion. I am here to influence this body to actually have a vote, because I'm worried and concerned, and here's why. Elections are over, and the drama that it comes with will slowly fade, or at least I hope so. What I don't hope that will fade is public knowledge on the promises that you gave to get yourselves reelected and elected to other positions. Many of you promised accountability for the mess that is the school department. Many of you promised to spearhead change and to bring true leadership. Some of you even made it the focus of your work, stating in past city council meetings before the election, quote, "For the next 3 months, I will be raising these concerns," unquote. That statement came from one of those mics standing in front of me tonight. But we all know that promises are solemnly kept. And tonight, I am here to hold accountable the individuals who swore to hold the school department accountable. Because we, the public, know that there are certain counselors who take stands when they're standing in conversation, but hide and deflect when they're sitting in those chairs. They vote present. They make a dramatic scene and walk out before a vote. They make charter objections and whatever else they need to do to deflect the topic at hand and the votes at hand. Counselors, whether you vote yes or no, have the guts to just have the vote. The same guts you portray during election season, because the public is watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Nina Figueroa.
Hi, good evening. My name's Maria Figueroa. I live at 10 Hughes Road in Methuen. Thank you for having me tonight, Council. I was asked to speak on behalf of somebody anonymous, and I graciously accepted to do so because the words resonated with me. They were relatable, and integrity matters, accountability at the end. So I am speaking to the agenda of no confidence vote against the superintendent. And again, I'm speaking on someone else's behalf, so bear with me. I have worked and lived in the district for a very long time. Writing this is like reliving what I have gone through over the past few years. The toll has been significantly, mentally, emotionally, and in my everyday life. I respectfully request that my name remain anonymous, as I fear retaliation from coming forward and speaking my truth. I am writing because speaking openly in the current Methuen public school culture places employees at immediate risk of retaliation. Many staff members, including myself, have experienced and witnessed practices within the district leadership that raises serious concerns regarding transparency, accountability, and confidentiality. For years, the administration, including the superintendent, assistant superintendent of special education, and human resources, have operated without meaningful oversight. Employees who attempt to report issues such as racism, bullying, discriminatory treatment, or hostile work environment are routinely met with retaliation rather than support. Investigations into complaints appear designed not to uncover the truth, but to minimize, deflect, or completely dismiss concerns instead of addressing the behaviors reported. The focus is often shifted towards discrediting or punishing the individuals who come forward. This has created an environment where staff are afraid to speak up and where silence is enforced rather than trust earned. Furthermore, employees who engage in bullying, harassment, and discriminatory actions remain in their positions without accountability, while the reputations of those who raise concerns are targeted and tarnished. HR and union representation, systems that should serve as safeguards, have repeatedly failed to offer meaningful support or protection. This is not an isolated experience. It is a pattern. The result is a toxic, unsafe workplace that harms staff morale, undermines student support, and erodes public trust in the district. I am sharing this because these issues can no longer be ignored. Methuen Public Schools cannot move forward until it addresses the systemic problems within its leadership culture. Staff deserve safety, students deserve better, and the community deserves transparency and accountability. I ask that this matter be taken seriously and that steps be taken to evaluate leadership practices, review HR procedures, and ensure that staff can report concerns without fear of retaliation. Thank you.
Thank you. Kara Blatt.
Good evening. Kara Blatt, Methuen Education Union. Our community deserves leadership that stays focused on what truly matters, the success of our students. The school committee's top responsibility right now is conducting a clear and timely superintendent search. But unfortunately, even after given ample notice, this process has not yet happened. Every week we delay, it makes it harder to attract candidates that are willing and want to provide stability to our schools. Too much time has been spent on distractions, negative messaging, and that does nothing to help our students. It's really shameful that negativity has taken over the ability to lead. Conversations without action is not leadership. A lack of follow-through is a lack of accountability. A vote of no confidence does not fight for our students. What is the goal? Is to fight for our students? What does this accomplish? And let us be clear, this is not in your charter to do. That relies on the school committee. And it is shameful that this time is taken up and not to fight for students. Every student matters. The shift of blame is not doing the real issues. And let us be clear, it needs to stop. If elected officials cannot work together, acknowledge good faith leadership, and put students first, they are failing the public they are served. With someone stepping up to give the district time to find the next leader, the effort should be recognized and not undermined. Refusing the superintendent's search is only in being totally irresponsible. They should be accepted for their decision and move on. Over the past year and a half, strong communication between city and school departments have been very productive with real progress, improving budget timelines hopefully in the next year, launching new library literacy program with State Representative Hamilton, ensuring students receive materials on time. That's tangible progress that has been shown by the mayor and committee member Donovan and other school committee members. That is what's important. And that can be achieved with collaboration, and that's what needs to continue happening. We hope members continue to consult with communities to explore new ideas. Committee member Donovan and the mayor have been actively participating and consulting with other districts to find out what positive change means and how to achieve it. Districts have faced similar challenges as us, and they look to successes as smart leadership. Even creative efforts like getting goats at the CGS, cost-saving measures, it was a hit with the students, and it made the Methuen look good, and it made you look good. And that's because the mayor and other committee members are working to positive interventions. The level of cooperation between the city and school department hasn't happened in decades, but it's continuing and improving. Last year, for the first time, city council, school committee members, and the district, as well as the union, reviewed the budget together, a process that affects every child and should happen annually and should continue. Communication is the only way to lead to success. Being an effective member means seeing the bigger picture and using knowledge of it possesses for regulatory and state resources to drive positive change, not negative change. The progress set is a standard that the entire committee of both sides of city and school should continue to follow. As budget season approaches, every member must work together, but nothing can be moved forward without a superintendent, a leader committed to the future, capable of recognizing success, addressing challenges, and being accountable to all students. The search must return to the top of the agenda with a clear plan, a clear timeline, and real accountability, not what's going on tonight. Our students deserve adults who put their best interests first. They are working hard every day to succeed. Our students and our staff are working hard, and elected officials need to do their jobs and fight for solutions for our schools. Fight for our students. Leaders who deliver real results, not just words. Words mean nothing without action. Parents and residents of Methuen invest in the city where they choose to live here. They are trusting Methuen to educate their children and give a strong future. We are looking to you to lead with courage and integrity and clarity. That means action, not excuses, collaboration, not conflict. Every day we delay is our students lose. Let this be a moment where we put students first and lead with purpose. I urge you tonight to stop the distractions. Make the superintendent's search your top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen Maxwell, sir.
Good evening, counselors. My name is Kristen Maxwell. I live at 5 East Prospect Street. I've been a Methuen resident for 8 years. I'm the mother of a Methuen High School graduate and a current student at the Timony Grammar School. I also serve on the Methuen School Committee. But tonight I'm speaking only on my behalf. My comments should not be interpreted as the position of the school committee as a whole. I want to be clear that if we're calling for accountability, it must apply to all leadership. I support the vote of no confidence in the superintendent, Brandy Kwong, and I also support amending this vote to include the current school committee. Families deserve leadership that is transparent, responsive, and willing to own the outcomes of the past several years. This isn't personal. This is about people not doing their job. Many of the concerns in this resolution aren't new. For years, I raised the same concerns when I was just another mom. The concerns are still the same. The only difference is that it's different parents and different students. Those concerns include student safety, building concerns, bullying, lack of academic support, poor communication, and low staff morale. Year after year, Methuen has failed to meet state improvement targets in academic performance, chronic absenteeism, and graduation targets, despite increased spending and 7 years under the same leadership. Staff stood at this very podium during this year's budget cycle, pointing out flaws and asked for help from leadership, and leadership failed to act. Many teachers, parents, and students will never come to this podium, and not because they have nothing to say, but because they're afraid of retaliation, and they're afraid that they'll be publicly ridiculed in the same way that I often am for speaking up. That fear is why this council funded a $140,000 cultural audit. It was to give people a safe place to speak honestly. That feedback exists and has since July 18th. It's in the audit. The audit confirms what families have said for years: failures in oversight, compliance, communication that align with the findings in this resolution. Instead of open discussion, names were redacted, drafts were resubmitted for edits, and the joint meeting to review it has been delayed repeatedly. The community paid for transparency and got redaction and delay instead. For all these reasons, I support this vote. Our students only get one education. Every year we wait is a year they don't get back. This vote is about putting them first. I've heard that there may be a discussion tonight about using an objection instead of taking a vote. I urge the council to have this conversation publicly and take a clear vote, one way or the other. Avoiding a vote through procedure, especially by those who played a role in the leadership structure, raises real concerns about accountability. I want to address something that may seem small, but it's actually very telling. Tonight, our school committee was scheduled to meet. That meeting was canceled around 1:45 p.m. today by Superintendent Kwong, with the reason given there was a lack of quorum. But several committee members who have made up that quorum are sitting right behind me here in this room. That's not a scheduling issue. It's a sign of how dysfunctional our school system's governance has become. It's a testament to how much influence the superintendent holds over certain committee members. There is no lack of quorum. Anyone here can see that. There was a coordinated decision to show up to protect the superintendent, which is apparently more important than attending our own meeting and doing our job that we were elected to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Shabilia?
Well, hello. Dan Shabilia, 22 Riverview Ave. I prepared a statement. However, the folks that have come before me pretty much said everything that needs to be said, and I don't feel the need to repeat myself just to hear my own voice. So I am going to start by saying that my public participation piece was going to be very heavily geared towards Mass General Law. You have two attorneys at the table. I don't need to stand here and recite MGL for you guys. You know, and I'm sure one of them can explain how all of this works. So I want to give a little bit of history that hopefully you'll maybe consider. When I pulled papers to run for school committee, I did not like any of the administration. And I was open about that. However, I went in, I listened, and I learned, not just from the administration, but from our attorney. and from Massachusetts Association of School Committees and other bodies because I didn't understand the limitations that were set. I wish you all had that same perspective. Some of you do, but I wish you all had that, because to make judgments on a school department when the mass majority of you have no idea what you're talking about is damaging. So I also want to just note that this is a coordinated effort. We were told by our attorney that we should be here. And I'm not standing here tonight to defend Dr. Kwong. She doesn't need me to do that. I'm standing here tonight to defend our district because what you all are doing and have been doing for the last couple of months is going to be the reason we can't have a quality superintendent. But since we want to talk about people doing their jobs and how a vote of no confidence is about people not doing their jobs, I prepared a list. The city of Methuen has a DPW building that has a partially collapsed roof, correct? That DPW now works out of half of that building. The deplorable conditions at the police department, where the mice problem was that, if not equal to or greater than that at the Timony, was ongoing for far too long. And now you all are talking about having to bring in third-party cleaning company to handle that. There's a DPW building with women working in it with no women's restroom, which I know is very important to this council. There is increased spending in our budget year after year with a decrease in services across the city and a decrease in staffing. We have skyrocketing budgets due to skyrocketing overtime budgets due to short staffing. We have 2 counselors who have moved out of district and failed to properly resign. City Hall employees have reported abuse from counselors and irate behavior in their offices because they want, and I quote, their way. Counselors purposely spoke to receivership when the school meets none of the cited criteria necessary, only to incite fear in families. This council and their employee have delayed contracts which have cost students learning time. This body has had constant breakdowns in communications with constituents because unfortunately many of them have shared their emails where you either don't answer questions or skirt the question. This city council has done nothing to improve or entice businesses to come to the city. This council members who on this council who employed a fraudulent superintendent who oversaw a $4 million overspend in the city, who voted on the Joe Solomon contract and the police superior's contract, who voted for a home rule petition to put one of their friends on the job at the PD, which trial is still going on. There's consistently rules being broken in these meetings at this table for certain people. There's a buried sexual harassment charge, and the community has fully lost faith in this council. Should the school committee put on their agenda for the next meeting a vote of no confidence in you? Because everything I just read is 100% factually accurate, and anybody at home can Google it and see the facts. Doing that makes the city look stupid. We don't need more of that. We can all dislike each other. That's completely fine. But win or lose, we all got into this to better the city. And we're not doing any of that. None of us are doing any of that. So I guess I would urge you, not for Dr. Kwong's sake, but for the sake of Methuen, use your brains. Don't make stupid votes to embarrass the city. As for the insurance, I've made my stance known. It's unbudgeted. I suggest that both resolutions be withdrawn. Don't be whoever the counselor is that wants to wrap it up. Whoever the counselor is who wants to put out a charter objection or whatever, don't be bullied. I want to quote a particular counselor who said, stop promoting a self-narrative and maybe start helping other people. Stop promoting your self-improvement and start helping other people. Thank you.
We have 3 letters.
I have two. I have two.
Council Soto is going to read 2 letters that we have.
Public participation that were emailed. This is from Kelsey Shabilia, 22 Riverview Ave. I hope you're all enjoying your weekend. I'm writing in regards to 2 agenda items, the first of which is a resolution to offer health insurance to elected officials on the City Council and School Committee. I want to start this letter by acknowledging how hard you all work and the toll public service takes on yourselves and your families. You deserve some compensation, which also serves to encourage others to run for office as well. That being said, I have significant concern that this is not financially responsible for the people of Methuen. We have a school budget that is consistently underfunded. Our schools do not have libraries or reading specialists. We are losing teachers to surrounding districts who pay much better. The second agenda item that I would like to address is a vote of no confidence for our superintendent. She is already leaving. I'm unclear as to the productivity of this vote. While we are trying to compete with 17 other school districts to hire a new superintendent, it would seem to me that this kind of attack on the current superintendent would deter any kind of quality prospects. The City Council recommending receivership and then continuing to attack the departing superintendent will and is hurting our entire city. I'm hoping to get answers to several questions from each counselor who will vote on these topics. Where will the money for this insurance resolution come from? Question mark. As the 2026 budget is already completed and this is not part of it, how does it work? Question mark. What are the intended outcomes of a vote regarding the superintendent? Question. What is your perspective on how this will impact perspective in superintendents? Question. Why is public participation not on the agenda for this particular meeting? I do not like to make assumptions, so I would like to ask. However, it does not look good. I sincerely hope to each of you take your roles as public servants seriously and believe in engaging public in all decision making. It is my opinion with current information that offering health insurance to elected officials should be a ballot question. Thank you for attention to these matters. Kelsey Shabilia. Letter 2. Kelly Randy, 10 Stratmore Road, Methuen. I'm writing today to share my thoughts on the lack of IEP services being provided to children of Methuen public schools. Specifically, I will be sharing my daughter's story. My daughter is a 6th grade student at the Tenney Grammar School, where she has been a student since kindergarten. For a little background, she was diagnosed by Boston Children's Hospital Learning Disabilities Clinic as dual deficient dyslexia in 1st grade. Being dual deficient dyslexic significantly affects her chronological processing and grade naming skills, or rapid recall. These challenges make it difficult to her to decode unfamiliar words, read fluently, spell accurately, and access grade level content without consistent and targeted intervention. Her IEP calls for both in-class and pull-out support for reading and in-classroom support for math. This year, with very little notice, a special education teacher my daughter was assigned to quit. Over the course of the next 6 weeks, my daughter and several other children were denied all of the in-class and pull-out services they were entitled to. Methuen Public Schools did not appear to have any contingency plan to provide support to these children while they hired a new special education teacher. This effectively denied these children, mine included, their right to a fair and free education under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 766, implemented through the Regulation 603 CMR 2800, which alongside federal laws like IDEA mandates the public schools provide a free, appropriate public education, FAPE, including specialty design instruction and related services to meet the students' unique needs, ensuring they make effective progress in general curriculum. This trimester, my daughter was greatly impacted academically by the lack of services. Last year, with the support of her SPED teacher and private tutor, she was able to achieve honor roll. This year, she was slowed academic progress in both reading and math. This was clearly reflected on her report card. What was not reflected on her report card and cannot be graded or scored is the increased frustration, reduced confidence, and loss of momentum in learning that she has faced this year. There has been countless nights and tears have flowed over lack of understanding and feeling alone and having to advocate to her teachers for help or further explanation on how to complete the work. After not providing her services for 6 weeks and very little communication from the school regarding a plan to provide compensatory services to address her regression and recover her missed instruction, I filed a formal complaint with DESE. After admitting that Methuen failed to provide my daughter with her required IEP services, she was offered about 1/3 of the time lost in compensatory services. It took a long explanation as the impact of the loss of services to have Methuen Public School finally agree to provide about half the misused hours. My daughter is a very hardworking student who loves school and loves learning. She works year-round with a private tutor once a week since grade 1. These past 6 weeks, she has had to work harder than before to try to keep up with her classmates. She has always had a clear understanding of her learning disability and has never felt behind that others in her grade. However, this year, she has asked her father and I if she is stupid because she cannot do what the others kids have been able to do in her class. Hearing these words as a parent to a child with a lifelong learning disability is heartbreaking. Methuen Public Schools has failed my child this year, and this falls directly on the shoulders of the Superintendent Kwong. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak at public participation?
Good evening, counselors, and let me start off with happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Beth Donovan Grassi. I'm a member of the Methuen School Committee, and I live at 15 Coolidge Street. I'm here tonight to express my deep disappointment in the agenda item calling for a vote of no confidence in our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Brandy Kwong. She has devoted her career to educating the children of this community and has done so in good faith with a tremendous amount of hard work. Bringing this motion forward after she has already announced her resignation feels unnecessary, politically motivated, and unfortunately mean-spirited. This is especially troubling because we are about to begin the search for our next superintendent, one of the most important decisions we will be making within the next decade. Potential candidates are watching, and I truly wonder who would want to lead our schools at a moment when turmoil is being created instead of being resolved. I am also concerned that several of the statements in the resolution are presented without context or accuracy or evidence, and I come with some good news. Our literacy benchmark data shows 77% of kindergarteners, 58% of fourth graders, and 73% of seventh graders are reading at grade level. And this does not align with the narrative being used to justify this vote. And I would be happy to share any additional information with folks who would like to have a conversation. Let me be clear, Mr. Cirillo, we do have some real problems in our schools, and I agree with some of your concerns, very much so. But we should be asking whether a symbolic, divisive vote is the best use of our time, or whether our time would be far more purposeful to begin the hard work that actually addresses our challenges. It is time for the school committee and the city council to do something that has never been done in the history of this school. In the history of this city. Number one, to sit down together, city council and school committee, and figure out how to improve communication between the two bodies. Number two, create a clear shared budget calendar, host valuable informational seminars about the budget and the budget process that will prevent the chaos of the budget season we experience every year. Number three, work better together in lobbying our state delegation for more assistance from the state and beyond. We are facing a tremendous challenge this year, especially from the federal level, just on our special ed finances alone. We anticipate losing $2 million because of the elimination of the Department of Education. We need to start those discussions now on how to respond. I have to wonder what our constituents would think when they see this vote instead of that work I just described. I fear it will not be favorable, and I question whether this motion serves them or serves something else. I also would like to address the process. The confusion over public participation, the scheduling of the meeting during a school committee meeting, and the late addition of items to what we thought was a simple special meeting are deeply concerning. I don't believe it was malicious, but these actions do not serve transparency or strengthen public trust or help build the relationship between our two bodies. I intended fully to be at the school committee meeting, but this discussion will have far-reaching ramifications, and I think it's important that we start them here tonight. We're elected to fill our obligations for our respective seats. We have our own responsibilities. For very good reasons, we need to skate our own lanes. School committee's job is to manage the schools with the resources we have. The job of the city council is to make decisions on local laws. We all must act legally, ethically, and responsibly. And we must accept the decisions made by the majority are the ones we must abide by. We may often disagree with each other, but once the majority decides, we are obligated to move forward together. When political or personal opinions begin to guide our official actions, we stop serving our constituents and we start serving ourselves. We have a choice tonight. We can add to the division and toxicity that have held the community back since I can remember. Or we can use this moment to recommit to working together, honoring our charter-held responsibilities, and building the school system and the city our children, our families, and all residents deserve. I'm choosing the latter, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, Jillian Guzman, 8 Leah Circle. I just wanted to touch on the second public participation email that you got. This is off the top of my head. This is based off of notes that I'm just taking now. I am too experiencing lack of services for my child, specifically at the Marsh School, unmet IEP goals, lack of services. I don't know whether this does come from the top. I have had less than pleasant experiences with Brandy and the assistant superintendent, ongoing since September. Prior to this, my experience with the Methuen Public Schools has been phenomenal, specifically the Branch Street location for the preschool. It was very disappointing since the beginning of this school year, the experience that my child, who is autistic, has had with his first year in kindergarten. He has no teacher. He has not had a special education teacher since October 14th. I was told, and this is in quotes from Brandy and Gina, which almost seems scripted. Let me also mention that I am the secretary on the CPAC board. They have no magic wand to fix this. This is word for word, no magic wand. I don't care if you have to go to Disneyland to get your magic wand. Figure it out, this is my kid. I don't know whether that constitutes a vote of no confidence, whether or not it does. This is what is going on in our school system. I emailed the school committee. I only received a response from 3 school committee members to offer assistance. I'm not going to name them here today, but I only received a response from 3 school committee members. What are we going to do for these kids who don't have services? My child has no teacher. This is parent-teacher conferences this week. What teacher am I having a conference with? I've only heard from speech. To touch on, again, that second public participation, I think that you guys are going to find this district with a lot of lawsuits. I think you are going to be met with more than just that one that came through. Maybe from me. This is unacceptable. I understand that you don't want them to get involved at the state level like other districts, but sometimes that's what it takes because you don't have the support here. Now, we can go back to who's responsible for what. Marsh School, administration. I've learned so much just from September. It can't have been just going on since I've had a child at the school. The administration is poor. That is why the staff is leaving. It's not necessarily because there's no money. It's not necessarily because they're not getting paid well. It's because they're not being supported by administration. Administration at the Marsh School should have been terminated a long time ago. I am sorry that this is where you have to hear it. This has taken a long time for me. I didn't plan on coming up here, but this is coming from a parent who is frustrated with the school system. To answer me in a public forum as our CPAC meetings and tell me the same sentence Brandy says, Gina says the same one, we don't have a magic wand. Do you think I want to hear that as a parent? How would you feel if somebody said that about your kid's education? Now my son's progress report and his very first report card that you're supposed to be excited about as a parent, his very first report card, do you know that there's no signature on the report cards? Do you know that this district is out of compliance? This district is out of compliance. So if I wanted to go ahead and go to the state, I could and we would have a case. I'm not doing that because I want the school district to fix this. What are we doing? Back to Kelsey's email. Okay, here we are. We're going to make this vote. Where are we going with it? What's it going to do after today? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, because I don't have a feeling either way. But I mean, I'm sick of being met with there's no answer. I'm a frustrated parent. I mean, I could come to tears. I am not the only one, and I can also second the fact that there is a lot of fear. Other parents do not want targets on their children's back. I received that before the teacher left my son's class because I advocated for my son. That teacher just so happened to be best friends with the administrator at the Marsh School. So it was shut down at that level. I didn't know that I could go further than what that was and over the principal's head at that time. This is where I want to let you know that our Methuen Public Schools are at. And it's disappointing to say the least that this is my autistic 5-year-old's first experience.
Thank you for your courage today. I appreciate you showing up. Thank you. Unbelievable. That's great.
Anyone else that would like to speak here? At this point, we'll close public participation.
Jane Jalbert.
You already spoke, thank you. And you're
No,
not,
I'm reading a letter from somebody that sent it. It was done earlier.
but you're not even a,
It was done earlier anonymously, so I should be able to read a resident from 6 Lady Slipper Lane.
go ahead.
Jade Jalbert. Tonight you have a relatively small number of things on the agenda. All of them are very much considered the public, yet you do not appear to want to hear them from the public on these items. Was the special meeting scheduled at the same time as the school committee meeting to get less eyes on it? Why is no public participation listed in the agenda when the rules of the City Council clearly state that public participation shall be included on the agenda for every meeting of the Methuen City Council? Rule 11, Public Participation, Section A. Dr. Kwong has resigned, a person who wants to be rid of no longer wanting to work here. Now you are trying to force a vote of no confidence. To what end? This vote will not change anything for the current superintendent. She's leaving. The body doesn't oversee the school committee or the superintendent. Recall the member of the committee went public on the record saying that she thinks schools should be in receivership. This council is actively trying to diminish any chance of a solid replacement candidate. Given the issues of breaking rules from each of you, the idea of no confidence is somebody two of you hired is laughable. I may not like the superintendent, but I respect her. That more than I can say for any of you right now. The other vote on this no public participation meeting is direct contrast to the rules of City Council. Here is the 24th month of service. The rules should be well written by now. The Home Rule Charter clearly states that no ordinance increasing such salaries or expenses allowed shall be effective. However, unless it shall have been adopted by 2/3 vote of the full council during the first 18 months of the term for which councilors are elected, and the new salary and expense schedule is to be effective upon the commencement of the term of the office of the next city councilor to be elected. The time of under the radar, let's hope they don't have their calculators, deals should be over. The proposal on the table should increase the cost of each person electing health care by almost double the current salary, which have almost more than doubled this year over the last. This is not in the budget. How do you justify what could be a six-figure expense that is not budgeted? The cost of one person saying yes to a family plan could take away one entire job salary. Is breaking the rules for personal gain really worth personal job in the very city you're supposed to be leading? Is voting for yourself in the way really in compliance with the spirit of the contract you undertook? Your code of ethics clearly states council members and the mayor in their relations with the community should, one, realize that their primary responsibility is to the citizens and not benefit personal from the council's activity. Do you believe taking benefit for your own gain is responsible to the citizens and not benefiting you personally? In closing, I ask that you look to your duties not to benefit yourselves. Do not allow the group to pull a fleecing the city part 2. Jane Jalbert, 6 Lady Slipper Lane. And to the wonderful parent who just spoke earlier, to the point, please, 1 second, is that we will not be able to retain and hire staff if this rhetoric continues. That parent deserves staffing, and in order to be that way, we need to be positive and make change the right way.
Anyone else wish to speak? I'll close public participation. Now we'll move on with our agenda. First up, just for clarification, you seen me texting during the meeting here. Councilor Campagnon lost her feed. I was trying to help her get back, and now she's back with us. So that's why I was trying to help her get back with here. So. First up, a property tax classification to consider the following policy decision. We're going to vote on each of these one at a time. The first one, a residential exemption of up to 35% of the averaged assessed valuation of residential property. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Campagnon. Discussion.
Just a point into the CAFO. This is a no vote to ensure that that does not happen. Correct. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Soto.
No.
Councilor Cirillo.
No.
Councilor Valley.
No.
Councilor Campagnon.
No.
Councilor DiZoglio.
No.
Councilor Pesh.
No.
And Chair Mazza.
No.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Number 2, an exemption of up to 25% for all property that may be classified as Class 2 open space.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Campagnon. Discussion?
Point of information to this, CAFO, this is a no vote as well, so that this does not occur, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Soto.
No.
Counselor Cirillo.
No.
Counselor Valley.
No.
Counselor Campagnon.
No.
Counselor DeZoglio.
No.
Counselor Pesh.
No.
And Chair Marson.
No.
Unanimous, no.
Unanimous. Number 3, a partial tax exemption to all qualifying small commercial properties.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Petch. Discussion.
Point of information. Thank you. To the CAFO, this is also a no to fail it, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Excuse me. Counselor Soto.
No.
Counselor Cirillo.
No.
Counselor Valley.
No.
Counselor Campagnon.
No.
Counselor DeZoglio.
No.
Counselor Pesh.
No.
And Chair Marson.
No.
Unanimous, no.
Unanimous. Number 4, a determination of the percentage of tax levy to be borne by each class of the property in fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Valley. Discussion?
Point of information to the CAFO, this is a yes vote, correct?
It's a yes for the full shift.
Bullshit. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just one question. Wondering, do you have the numbers on how much back taxes are owed to the city?
I don't have that. That would be a treasury issue.
Okay. I was just curious beforehand. I'll reach out to them. Thank you.
I'd be curious.
We can provide that.
Madam Capital might have that. She'll get that to you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please, on number 4.
Counselor Soto.
Yes.
Counselor Cirillo.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
Yes.
Counselor DeZoglio.
Yes.
Counselor Pesh.
Yes.
And Chair Marson.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, unfinished business. TR 25-73, a resolution allowing city council members to be able to participate in city health insurance on the same basis as city employees. I need a motion to remove from the table. I need a motion before you can discuss. I need a motion to remove if you want to talk. Seeing none, we'll move on. New business, TR 25-74, a resolution of the Methuen City Council calling for a vote of no confidence in the superintendent of Methuen Public Schools.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Valley. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Chair, I do have something to say. Please. Thank you.
1 second, please. Go ahead.
So tonight, this council of 7, I just want to remind everyone something. This is not accomplishing anything other than a more bigger divide in our community. I have been an advocate of the schools. I've been a vocal member of the public against this current school committee. And I have said things about the superintendent too, but it's all the leadership. It's not just the superintendent. So here's the thing, is we're setting no example whatsoever. This is just ceremonial, I feel. This body and any legislative body, the only impact you have to anything you do in the city is when you hold quorum. Outside of here, you might have influence, you might have opinion, you might have fact. But for anyone who has never sat in a seat or unsuccessfully bid for a seat, you have constitutional power for all residents of the city. You don't get to make hasty, emotional decisions on the fly. Your thought and only thought is for the overall city and what legal battle that might come from this decision. I'm not going to charter object tonight. I think that was a rumor going around I was going to charter check tonight. Regardless, I'm not. But what I can say is that as a city, we have a lot of great players. A lot of great players on these legislative bodies. But let's remember something. These great players, some of them have gone off to be mayor, state rep, but also some have been subpoenaed by a grand jury, indicted, charged, and now pleading guilty. Let's not forget the former chair of the Methuen City Council is currently pleading guilty. So let's not forget that. We need a better job as a community and as elected officials, especially for the minority body that is staying on this council that was elected, to work with your friends and colleagues on the other side. This just puts a bullet in the target. And that is not going to be helpful for this city going forward, or this mayor who has to work with the school committee to fill this position. It sends a message to this community that no one is safe in this department of what they head. They're not safe from ridicule, and they're not safe from public lashing by elected officials. So I'll end with this. We open ourselves to legal risk tonight by taking this vote regardless, but I'm going to vote on it, and I'll let the cards play. And I'm warning now because I'm not going anywhere. I have 2 more years. I got elected on the school committee, and I'm going to be a partner here to you guys. And I'm going to help clean the leadership up, and I will hold people accountable, and I hold the chair accountable for the audit. Things need to change. We all know that. But that's not our job here. That's the school committee's job. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Petch.
Thanks. So I go back and forth on this one. I actually agree with a lot of what's in the resolution. I actually agree with a lot of what Councilor DiZoglio said. It's not personal. I have never made a personal decision. I served on the school committee for 6 years. I worked with Dr. Kwong. I've never doubted her work ethic, and I'll say that publicly. I've not always agreed with her decisions, but I've never doubted her work ethic. Recently, however, I will say there is a huge disconnect. And unfortunately, you know, as the head of the school department, the buck does stop with her. So that's where I get a little uneasy. I will say, I would like to make an amendment to this, and I'm going to give you my reasons. I'd like to amend to include the school committee in the vote of no confidence. And my reasoning is this: we cannot fault the head of our school department for following the directives of her authoritative board. So if those are the directives of the school committee and our superintendent is following that, then they should both be implicated, in my feeling. It's the will of the board. I do not think this should all fall on the superintendent. I do think we need change, as Councilor DiZoglio said. Our numbers are not okay. It's actually worrisome for me to hear people, members of our school committee, come up and defend our numbers. I'm happy to hear the improvements of committee member Donovan. I haven't seen those yet, but that's the right direction. And I am hoping that if this amendment gets accepted, and if, and only then, will I vote for a vote of no confidence, but I want to make this clear. It's not personal. And what I am hoping to achieve, because that question has been asked tonight, what I am hoping to achieve from a vote of no confidence is that whoever we hire next will see our directive, see our plan, the new school committee coming in, the new council coming in. Let's work together. I have no confidence in the system the way it is now. I don't. So that's where my vote is coming from. I hope people understand, like I said, I've never made it personal. And this isn't a direct reflection on Dr. Kwong or even necessarily any of the specific members of the school committee. It's as the system as a whole and where we're going, we need to reprioritize come January 1st. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this. Oh, and I would like to make an amendment to add and implicate the school committee within the resolution. Thank you. If I have a second.
So I have a motion on the floor by Councilor
Second.
Patch to amend the resolution to add the school committee. And I have a second by Councilor Soto. Sorry, Councilor Valley. Discussion on the amendment.
I mean, can I also make a friendly amendment to add city council too? I mean, there's been zero consistency here, folks. I mean, we got zero consistency. We've been
Mr.
tossing.
Chair, move the question.
We are in the middle of a.
No.
You can't, Mr. We're in the middle of approving a
Call the question.
amendment.
I have a motion on the floor to call the question.
Sure.
Second.
On the amendment. Roll call, please.
Counselor Soto.
Yes.
Counselor Cirillo.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
No.
Counselor DiZoglio.
No.
Counselor Pesh.
Yes.
And Chair Marsan.
No.
4 yes, 3 no.
Simple majority, so it passes.
Motion carries.
Friendly amendment passes. Now back to the main motion. Any more discussion on the main motion as amended?
Move the question.
Oh. Mayor?
Can we let the mayor speak?
Well, the question's
You wanna
been
move the
moved,
question?
so.
I mean, he's been sitting there all this time and nothing's been done. I want to move the question.
Call roll,
I
please.
agree. Let's move the question.
On the main motion.
Counselor Soto.
Yes.
Counselor Cirillo.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
No.
Counselor DiZoglio.
No.
Counselor Pesh.
Yes.
And Chair Marsan.
Yes.
5
5-2.
yes, 2 no.
Motion passes as amended. A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilor Soto, seconded by Councilor Campagnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. Give me roll call, please.
Counselor Soto. Counselor Cirillo. Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor Campagnon.
Yes.
Counselor DiZoglio.
Yes.
Counselor Pesh.
Yes.
And Chair Marsan.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Meeting adjourned 8:18.
Great.